How do I invite my wife into more devotion, into a devotional space and demand more with her? I would love to go more deeply with her. I'd love for us to connect more, but for me to feel like my heart is opening with her. These are questions men ask me every day, every week, every year in this work. I'm going to get into what stops that from happening first. There's prerequisites, of course, to feeling connection and love and for her to want to be in devotion with you. We're here in our man-to-man call because we want to feel freedom to live our life with passion in relationship or otherwise, freedom to feel confident within ourselves no matter what, and the freedom to make the most important promises to ourselves. This is a quote from comedian Sam Shepard. The funny thing about having all this so-called success is that behind it is a certain horrible emptiness. And behind our, let's say, career success, financial success, our accumulation, our material success, behind that, if we have no other depth or soul or, let's say, purpose in the world, we're going to feel, and I think every one of you know what I'm talking about, I certainly feel this on and off all the time, this horrible emptiness behind the success. Because money is certainly not an end, right? Power is not an end in and of itself. What are we going to do with that financial success or that control or that ability to be free within our lives? And honestly, my practice now, I don't work Fridays. I work about a half week on the last week of each month. I basically travel and see men around the country when I want to connect. And I have more financial and time freedom now than I ever have in my life, especially since my son has moved out of the house. So I actually have way more time on my hands sometimes than I know what to do with, which is strange to say. So now I'll spend an hour and a half in the gym in the morning and I'll read more and I'll take more walks and things, but I still have that extra time on the weekends and on the last week of the month that I've created this freedom for myself, financial and time freedom for myself, that I'm even more in bed with this potential horrible emptiness that sits behind success. And that plays into our conversation today, because we have to know, what are we demanding? Where are we going within our own selves? If we're going to invite her into devotion, if we're going to invite her into a space in between, here's my first warning. Here's the 3 warnings I want to give you. These are prerequisites, and we're going to talk about these. So my first warning is, number 1, you cannot invite her into, or you cannot, quote, demand, and I mean a loving demand, not like an ultimatum or a threat or anything like this, but more of an over time, a chronic demand, meaning who you are, a healthy pressure, a positive pressure, asking her, inviting her to come into your space, to be more into the relationship that you would like to invite her into. Now, I do want to say that inviting a woman is really the 3rd phase of coaching. The first phase is stop messing up, learn where you're making mistakes, even though you weren't aware of it. The second phase is to grow your value within yourself, your perspective, grow your connection with other men and your hobbies and your friendships again, and grow your skills. And the 3rd phase is inviting yourself into a new chapter of life, or inviting a woman into a new chapter of life with you. So invitation, which we're speaking about here tonight, is more advanced. So number 1 warning, you cannot invite her or demand anything that you're not already doing yourself. So if you don't know for you what's behind, let's say, success, what's behind academic or financial or career success, if you don't know what else life is about for you, you won't have anything to invite her into. She'll be suspect that there really isn't much substance there. So you have to be doing these practices yourself. As I know many of you that are on this call are, many of you that are watching this are doing men's work. You're connecting with men. You're learning about yourself. You're flushing out your shadow. You're reincorporating things that you suppressed or repressed a long time ago, or maybe you were never even aware of it. So becoming a whole integrated man, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, you have to lead the way. Otherwise, you can't invite her into something you don't know about yourself. Number 2, if you're feeling butthurt, or if you're holding resentment or you're angry, you're not ready to invite her into something. You're not ready to, quote, demand more if you're still butthurt about things. And number 3, if what you're asking her to do with you, if what you're inviting her into isn't a hill you're willing to die on, then it's really not that important. And so if you're asking her to go for a walk under the stars and she doesn't want to do that, that's fine. It's not a hill you're willing to die on. It's not really that big of a deal. But if what you're wanting is trust and openness and closeness, how to get there is not what we're talking about today. It's that if you don't feel that you're willing to, let's say, eventually end the relationship, if what you're inviting her into isn't respected or discussed or moved toward ultimately, eventually, if she does not want to follow you, then you'll eventually leave that relationship. That's a hill that you're willing to die on. And we could certainly talk about the nuances, and we have in other calls. So I'm not here to pick apart the semantics of what commitment means to you necessarily. But what I'm here to say is that if let's say she never wanted to have sex again for the rest of your entire life, but yet sex and intimacy and growth in that way was important to you, is important to you, so much so that that's the kind of life that you want to practice. And if she doesn't want to practice that with you, eventually you would find that somewhere else, or eventually you would end the relationship, or eventually you find a way to fulfill that part of yourself, but you wouldn't just resolve to never have sex again if that was important to you. If it's not, that's a different story. But if something is vital to you that you want to experience in this life, then you'd eventually be willing to go achieve that in the world in some way. That's a hill that you're willing to die on. You're not going to be held back. Let's say you're not going to be held back from your creative endeavors in the world. You're not going to be held back from wanting to serve children or give service to the world in some way. You're not going to be held back from that. So that's a hill you're willing to die on, for instance. So I'd love for everyone, every man that's here, to punch a 1, a 2, or a 3 into the chat. Which one of these maybe do you have the most difficulty with? If you're wanting to invite a woman into a more devotional space, if you're wanting to lead her into more depth and openness and love and intimacy, which one of these 3 might be a concern for you? And which one of these would be the most difficult for you? Are you doing your own work? Are you ready to invite her into something? Are you practicing this yourself? That's number 1. Number 2, do you have hurt emotions still? Or number 3, do you not really know where your hills are, what hills you're willing to die on? Or you don't know how to speak up if how something is important to you. So punch a 1, a 2, or a 3 into the chat. Which one of these is maybe the most difficult for you? Yeah, 3, lots of 3s. Jace put into the chat, in my experience, the first 2 stages can take a man a number of years. Yeah, I'm in the early stage of entering 3. Jace, are you able to talk? Come on in, tell us about this. How do you mean the first 2 can take a number of years and you're just entering number 3? Everybody, looks like everyone put number 3.
Yeah, so can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, go for it.
Yes. So look, I mean, the first 2 stages, I mean, there's there's the turmoil of what's wrong with me, grasping at straws, saving me. You're reading all for myself. I was reading all the books, trying to get the help, trying to save myself. Then I didn't know what I wanted, had to go through the whole journey of who I am, rediscovery, self-care, what's important to me, my values, becoming firm with all that. And then now, over the last few months, as I'm becoming clear on what I want out of life, what I'm willing to stand for, what I'm willing to walk away from, I'm only then in a calm space be able to open the gate and invite my wife to join me with the don't give a fuck attitude of, well, this is what I want and I'm willing to die for it. And hey, if you don't want that, that's cool. Where a few years ago, it was all like, if she doesn't want the same thing with me, well, then I get all manipulative and nasty. And for me personally, it's taken me a long time to get where I am, to be the man that I am proud to be today, in many areas of life. And it's a mission for me to support other men in their journeys moving forward, because so many men are lost and they want to invite and they want to go into stage 3, but without having to do all the sacrificing work first. And yeah, I'm entering stage 3 now, and I have a couple of my walkaways, but it is so damn hard because there's so many amazing things about my relationship, my wife and myself, that are amazing, but there's still those things that I'm fearful of working towards the invitation on going into stage 3, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for getting us started, Jace. Can you give us a couple of specific examples? So when you have fear of moving toward inviting, or the place that
look, I think there's still that part of me that is seeking the underlying validation, I guess, that if I put my needs out there and then they get rejected, that she doesn't want the same thing, well, then there's that part of me that is still what gets the rejection, or that's the part of me that I need to learn to love and say, hey, that's okay. And it's over the constant years of being rejected in certain things, or being hurt, I'm still guarded, and to be vulnerable on certain things I still have that pain there that's sort of still stopping me. But I've realized that once I have been able to come from a different place of calm and groundedness, I can put those needs forward, and actually she's being responsive in a positive way. So I guess it's the history that I'm still dealing with. But as I've got new tools and a new state of calm being, I'm able to not have so much pressure on the expectation.
Yeah, well said. It feels as though you have confidence within yourself. You've learned a lot about yourself, obviously, over the time doing this work, and you know that you're ready, and you know that you want to bring power into your life in a different way. It sounds like that's the feeling that I'm just getting from you as a man. So
For
what?
sure.
Yeah,
And it does, like there's things that doesn't define me as a man. I've put a lot of jigsaw pieces of the puzzle together, and I feel great about myself, and I face my shadows, and I'm good friends with them. My dog's named Shadow now, and he's jet black, and he's a reminder of the shadows that we hold, and I've embraced them. I love them, and it's that. So it doesn't define who I am over someone else's choices, whether she wants to invite me or not. So yeah, if that makes sense.
yeah, very cool. And I don't know who's driving you, but if if you can speak frankly, what's something that you still have, let's say, fear around that she may not accept that you may want?
Yeah, look, it comes back to the sexuality part of the relationship. Look, I'm a very balanced male, but I want to have a really beautiful sexual relationship with my wife. And we've always just been on different levels. And or for the last 20 years, I've known this, but I had the whole thing of when we get married, or when this happens, or after this happens, it'll change. But unfortunately, it hasn't changed, and I just need to work a way to navigate around that. And that's the biggest block for me, is that if she doesn't want to grow in that area, can I stay in the relationship the way it is, or can I self-soothe, or can I do other things with it whilst remaining true to my values and as a man, and not straying from the relationship? So I've done a lot of work around that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Another time, I'd love to ask you more specifically about where you are as far as physicality, but that's beyond this call a little bit. So
Sure. Yeah, of course.
good stuff. Thanks, Chase. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
How's this? I want to ask you before I dive forward to another man. What does this conversation feel like to you when you don't have a woman in your life right this moment?
Yeah, so the last month or so, I think I posted some on Facebook where I called them blows, where it's like surprise or just coming to realize that like it's been almost 2 years, and for the longest part it's all me. I messed up, I fucked up, I should have done better, I should have known. And then it's like, you know what? Well, no, it wasn't really just me. She had her own demons. She had a part of this. So I'm like just slowly actually dropping the rope and not looking back, and just like I've been working on that for the last 2 years, and there's times it's better than not. But right now it's like I'm not focused on her at all. It's like she's been gone the day she dropped the bomb on her side, and I've been trying to fix it. Then it was questioning. I know someone posted on Facebook. I didn't have time to scroll all the way through, but basically where I'm at, I think it was Josh, about was I in love with her or in love with what I thought she was, or the idea of who she was, and maybe she's just not that person.
Yeah.
So I'm coming to terms with that. So that's why I'm saying there's really not a her. I'm just trying to enjoy the single life as much as I can, and not necessarily like going out and like screwing everyone I can, just more in discovering who I am, what I want. Just, go back to my values, go back to what makes me happy. Then the next step would be to meet someone and have something to offer.
So the have something to offer part, how do you mean? How do you mean by have something to offer?
I guess a lot of the things that I enjoy have been things that I've done on my own. Like I do a lot of cycling. I'm back into making music, and they're all like solo activities, which is fine. I enjoy that. I do need some time alone. I don't know. It's just there's nothing right now that is attractive to say, hey, I invite you to do this with me. So yeah, if I meet someone that's into cycling and we ride out together, that could be cool. But that could be a guy just as much as a girl. It doesn't have to be like a girlfriend or anything like that. So it could be anyone.
Right, sure. So I'm asking a question. I don't know what you're going to say. So what are you envisioning that, oh, it has to be special for a woman to want to be invited into, or how do you mean? It seems as though you feel like something isn't there where you wouldn't even want to invite a woman into your life right now.
It's a good question. I didn't see it that way.
I mean, let me say it
I
another
don't
way.
know.
A girl might want to come and listen to you, create music and just like chill while you make the music. What kind of music do you create?
Mostly electronic. I can't really play an instrument, so it's
Sure.
all
Yeah, right
electronic
on.
based.
Yeah, right on. So what if she wanted to come watch you spin, or come watch you practice or perform, or
I'd have to get better at it.
okay, what if
Right
it's
now
just
it's for me,
it's a
right? So
private show? It's a private show just for her.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like, I guess it's just I'm so out of tune, right? Like, I was with the same woman for almost 20 years. So, like, I guess I don't know. Like, there was before the fear of rejection. So it's like, am I gonna go back to who I was 20 years ago and be afraid to be rejected? Like, I know I have grown, but I haven't been tested.
Hmm.
Is where maybe some of the fears.
Sure. So when do you want to be
So
tested?
I don't want to run after it. I want to chase. I just want to do what I'm doing. And, if we're still here in 2 years, maybe there's a problem, but for now, there's no problem.
Okay, you say we as in you, or you and your wife?
No, no, like, I'm still here talking to you saying,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
So,
Yeah. And Keith raised his hand. I'll call on Keith in a second. But
yeah,
Steph,
sure.
there's, what is it? Luck equals opportunity plus our willingness to seize the moment. Yeah. Preparation plus opportunity. That's it. Luck equals preparation plus opportunity. And so we can prepare all we want, but if we don't seize an opportunity, meaning, I mean, I've been in all of your spot, right? And this is why I came to this work 8 years ago, 9 years ago. This is why I met Steve Horstman. I was in a very similar spot and did this work, and I started dating women. And I knew that I was going to suck at it at first because it had been 13 years, 14 years. I'd only, this is the second woman I'd been with since college, basically, this kind of thing, right? So I dated different girls in high school and college, but and dated for 14 years, something like this, when this all went down. So I knew that I was going to be terrible at approaching women. And I've probably told this story to y'all before, so I won't say it again. But the first time I talked with a woman, it was terrible. And I knew it was going to be, and that's fine. So I checked that box. Like, I moved past that. And the second time it wasn't as bad. And the third time it wasn't as bad. And I started to get a groove. I had to practice. But I had to put myself out there. It's not like women are just going to come up to, I don't know about you, Steph. Maybe you're, loaded and you pull up in your Lamborghini and women just like fucking run over to you. But that doesn't happen to me. So I had to put myself in those spots. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. I guess a part of me is I don't want to be a cliche. That's a big thing for me. And it's like, I didn't want to be, the divorced guy that, okay, who's next? Let's go. Like, no, like people around me are like, oh, you should do this. You can meet women. It's like, but that's not all there is, right? Like, I want to be happy. I want to be okay to be alone. And you know what? It's Saturday night. I have no plans. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. Like, it'd be cool. Like, I'm not saying I want to be alone. It's more that I want to be comfortable with that. I want that to be okay. And then, because I just feel like if
Sure.
I depend on someone else, I'm just going to go back to the old habits of my glass is half full. Please fill my glass. It's like, no, my glass is full. Let's just, we hang out and I don't need you to make me happy.
Yeah, totally.
That's where I'm trying to be.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree with absolutely everything that you're saying. At
But
some point, at some point, you got to put yourself out there to practice. It's like, well, I'd love to be able to hit a home run, but I don't want to go to the batting cages, like that. Like, we have to, if you want an amazing woman in your life, whenever that may be, a year from now, 10 years from now, then you're going to have to practice putting your feet on the pavement and going out and talking. Right. And you'll be ready for that at some point. I don't know when that may be, but often we can get in our own way. Like, oh, I just need to be perfect. I just need to get the A+. I got an A, but I need an A+. And I just don't want you to get in your own way. So you'll be ready at that point, at some point. Stuff, right?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Good. It's like,
I appreciate
Steph,
it.
don't call me. Yeah, you're welcome. Steph comes in here. I like calling on. I appreciate you. All right,
It's all
Keith.
good.
Yeah. Keith, please go for it.
Yeah, so I was piggybacking on what Steph was saying. I think like part of what he was talking about, I totally agree with the last part of what he was saying. But when you're talking about having some value or something to bring to the table, I was thinking I think that I've fallen for this several times. The whole concept of, if I become this, or if I acquire this, then I'll be worthy of, or I'll have value for other people, enough value to invite the type of people that I want into my life, something like that. I think that the best thing that I've learned through this whole situation being with other men is that it's not about what you have, it's who you are, who you're being. And you being who you are right now is good enough, and it's bringing enough value to the table for anybody.
Yeah, well, we have to believe that from the beginning, Keith, right? The baseline that we have value as a human, that just honestly, the core of masculine presence, the core of the masculine archetype is curiosity, awareness, presence, the being there with all of your focus. And I think I know every single man here is capable of that, because you're doing that. You do that day in, day out when I see you. So Keith, for you, and you're a different man than Steph, than me, than Jace, of course, we're all different. But for you, I'm curious, you're in a similar spot, not the same as Steph, but a similar spot where he's said, oh, I just don't want to go out there and like, all right, bring on the next woman. And okay, I just want to fuck my way through this. I don't want to numb myself. Totally valid. Where do you feel like you are in this spot, Keith?
Well, you were talking about practice and getting back on the horse. So I think with practice, things slow down, just like when you play basketball, any sport, and you have a lot of repetition. So now I feel like I'm starting to notice like cues for myself and other people that I'm around. I think that things go a lot smoother when I'm trying to talk to women or create new friendships, or not really trying to create new friendships. I think the whole thing is like, I feel as if I'm not really trying, and that's when things go a lot smoother. It's like when I know that I'm trying too hard, I feel like my soul is coming out of my body, that I'm reaching for someone. I'm reaching for them and say, hey, come here, be with me. But when things are easiest, it's like I'm leaning back and I'm just there, and I'm able to hear and be aware of what people are saying and respond. And I feel as if they're coming to me, and if they're interested in me, they're coming to, and they're actually wanting to be part of my world. And if they don't, that's cool. I feel fine either way, but I feel that as long as I'm within my own body, I'm present. I think that it works out better for me. I'm able to attract more people that like. The problem that I'm having right now is that some of the women that I actually talk to, I think I treat them differently based on how attractive they are. I have two ladies that I think are very, very attractive, and I treat them totally different than the other ladies I talk to. So I got to figure that out, because I'm giving them a little bit more rope, and I'm being a little bit different as a person when I'm talking with them. I feel as if I don't tease them as much as other women, and that I try to be a little bit, what's the word, perfect maybe, when I'm talking with them. So I definitely have an issue. I'd like to treat everybody the same, but I'm really not all the time. So that's the issue I'm running into right now.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're aware of it. So you're not giving them as hard of a time. You're not joking with them as much.
No, I think sometimes I'm trying to be Mr. Perfect
Right.
when I text them and stuff like that. I don't like normal people. I rib them a lot more, joke with them, and like I don't care. It's just straight fun, and I'm enjoying myself, and I'm still enjoying myself with these other women, but it's like I feel like I have to be more perfect to keep them around, and I don't think that's really the case. But I have this mental block, obviously, that keeps me wanting to do that.
Yeah, I hear you totally, and I'd be curious over time in future calls to hear what you've done to practice that, to overcome that, to work on that intentionally. Do you have an idea of what you're going to do?
Well, yeah, I think and I'll give you an example here. I've withheld information a little bit more so than I would with a normal person, because I'm like, okay, if I say this way, then maybe this person won't like me as much or something,
Right.
So I think I'm in not a pickle, but where I have to, divulge a little bit more information. It's not that I'm lying. It's just that I haven't said something. Okay, so basically, it revolves around how I look at a relationship. Am I looking for a girlfriend? Am I looking for a long-term relationship? I'm just listening and taking in what this girl's talking about. She's looking for a long-term relationship. I'm not. And so I told her that I want to have fun, but I haven't been direct enough, because I really would like to, when I say really, I mean, I'd like to have fun with her and, hang out with her. So I really need to be honest with that situation with myself and her.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a ton of sense. The men, including myself, that I'd speak with that have been successful with women after divorce, let's say, have been with ruthlessly authentic and right and slowly, very slowly attempted to move toward intimacy, very slowly attempted to move towards sex. So they're a sexual being, but they really went slow with trying to get the woman in bed, basically. So the combination of those two things is ruthlessly authentic, yeah, with a little smile on your face, right? But sexual, but moving towards sexuality very slowly. That's been the combination that has been an absolute home run for most men. And I think that's, that, I think, in here, and you're practicing that in your heart and the way you move now, Keith, right?
Yeah. So I think I got it. I have that down. But I'm giving special treatment to certain people. So I need to stop.
Yeah. Right.
That's it. I know what the problem is, but
yeah. That I know that, this is a good conversation. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm curious over time hearing what you try, what you do.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Appreciate you, Keith. Good to see you. Who has a question about this scenario, or who has a spot that they want to bring up to get either my thoughts on, or just put it here for the men? I'll shut up now and unmute yourself. Coming in. Who's got a spot that they want to put on the table here during this call tonight?
I don't know. I don't have a whole
Hans,
lot
go
to
for
say
it.
on that topic because, I'm just kind of checking my own boxes while my wife is just like putting on a show how cold she can be. And it's like, okay, fine, whatever. And she's trying to control like my parenting on my end. And she's like, no, she wanted to kind of slip into this like beach vacation that I'm taking the kids on. It's just like, well, no, this is the weekend I'm going. You said you can't do it. That's just the way it's going to be. And I know the only reason she's doing it is so she can control how the kids are, treated. I mean, there's been no behavior to hint at any sort of like desire to be on the vacation with me or the other people I'm going with. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to bend over for that. I don't know. Just finally freeing up some time. I was supposed to be able to be refreshed sleep today. I had my first night since finishing a program, and
you finished it.
I was going to go to bed at 11 o'clock. Couldn't sleep, so I got back up and I started doing some pretty important stuff. I'm organizing my kid's 5th birthday, and that's going to be a grand spectacle because they've been under a lot of stress, like being bounced back and forth in the households and stuff like that. And you can see, like, they're super happy around me. I don't know where they are with her. I'm sure they're fine because she's a good mother, but like that's hard on them. So I'm going to make this a pretty spectacular event for him. And my other kid, his brother. But that and the art show coming up, which takes a ton of work out of me. Plus this event that I was coordinating with this conservatory. I mean, it's just out of the frying pan and into the fire, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
So
so I love you. I love you celebrating this stuff. I love you celebrating this stuff here with us. I don't know if you have other people you can share this kind of thing with, but I love hearing your celebrations, and just finished a year-long master's program and art show, and absolutely. Yeah. How has your vibe been around your boys? And how long have you been separated? What's the vibe been, and how has it been different since you've been separated?
So she moved out on December 28th, and I mean, we get along great. Like the corrective things that I do with them, I'm gentle, but I'm firm, and they've been respecting that, and they just out of nowhere give me hugs and offer up that they love me and stuff like that. I mean, it's just been really awesome between us. I know they're going through a lot and they're in pain, and they try little things to try to get me over to my wife's house and stuff like that. And it's just like, I hear I hear you, but it's not going to happen, right? So,
Yeah, right.
So they're going through a lot, but the relationship is going great. I mean, we're goofing off, but again, they have to be disciplined. You know, the older boy has to do his homework, and yeah, we're outside a lot and enjoying nature and activities and all this stuff. So, I mean, that's going really cool. You know, we're about to be off of school for them too, so it's going to be, you know, a lot of time to just go just crazy, just do some awesome things. So, looking forward to that. And plus, I'm looking forward to creating some, I don't know, actually human to human interactions with adults. So
Yeah.
that's been kind of a strain because, you know, all my free time has been going to this program, which, you know, I was talking with my students today, which, you know, they're like pseudo family. I mean, it's a very tight knit school. And we're all friends and stuff like that. So it's just talking about how like two of them went to this huge portrait society thing and they want me to go and do demonstrations and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know, I was just saying, it's like, well, ever since the kids were born, I've put all down the back burner. They didn't really know me back when, you know, I was on front covers of magazines and books and going on these huge, you know, shows and things like that. So it's like, you know what, I want that again. I'm gonna be an artist again. I'm gonna launch these online programs, which I just created another one. So one is actually a lead magnet, a free course to kind of pull people into the bigger ones. And
Yeah, nice.
so yeah, I'm hoping that can just create some opportunities for free time and, you know, get back into the scene again. Just, you know, start just start going with that sort of like, you know, life glow, right? We were talking about freedom the other day. It was, I don't really want freedom. I want that next oppressive thing to fight through and enjoy the fight, right? You know, just getting knocked around, find that next oppressive thing. I'll find freedom when I'm 6 feet under, when there's nothing to fight for anymore. So, yeah. So
yeah, sounds good. So let me ask it. I don't know where this is going to go. We only have a couple minutes left tonight, Hans, but how have you moved through the pain of not seeing your boys every day, right? One of the biggest fears, of course, is losing time with our children through a potential divorce, separation. So how have you made sense of that?
I had to get rid of the narrative that they were going to choose her and reject me. And that was never really the case, right? And I mean, I do need personal time. I need time in my studio. I need time to teach. I need time to have a life. And sometimes it's nice not to have kids there in that regard. I love being around my kids. I love spending time with them. So I don't know. I don't really. We might have to do something about the schedule because they're getting bounced around too much. But having time to myself instead of like 6 days a week doing a lot of parenting, where, you know, I was fighting for her to have time off too a lot. So I was watching the kids so much that I put a big chunk of me to the side as being an artist, being a creator, and being somebody who likes being out and about. So that's not such a bad thing. That I don't every day. And that sounds like a horrible thing to say, but, you know, I love them 100%. But, you know, if I can fill my cup up, they're going to get a better me. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I don't need to even say, but seeing you, that glow of life, that fire that you have, they're going to feed off that, look up to that, like move themselves into that potential as adults. Yeah. So absolutely. I love that you don't have like phantom guilt, let's say. A lot of men deal with that, right? But that you're going to live your life to the fullest. And when you're with your boys, it's going to be phenomenal quality time. The quality is going to be off the charts when you are with them. Appreciate those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I actually didn't have the guilt so much because I believe in marriage. I believe in marriage having rocky points and disconnection and stuff like that. I never believed in, you know, having infidelity, putting up with and stuff like that. I had firm boundaries of what I believe in and what I don't. But, no, I can go in this knowing that I fought like hell to keep the marriage together, and she made every move towards separation, and I can live with that. And what I can do with that is say I can come at my parenting role with a lot of compassion for them and my head held high that, you know, I'm just going to make this moment count, not worry about what the past was, right? So
yeah, well said.
The guilt wasn't there.
Yeah, I didn't have guilt in that spot either. It's more of, how do we face, as you said, the oppressive challenges of the moment? How are we leaning into the next challenge in our life? Says so much. And my motto has always been, what's the next best thing? The one next best thing that I can do in my life. The one best next step. It's always been my motto, and I appreciate that. Yeah. Thanks, Lance. Good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, guys supporting you in the chat here too. Love you guys being here. You guys are awesome. See you next week. Ciao, guys.